Hi people, today's Nardy Makes is going to be baking, and we are going to bake some jam tartlets. And basically it's a pastry cup with some jam and sponge over the top. It's very easy to make, anyone can make it. I'll put all the ingredients and the utensils and everything in the downstairs, but I will show them on the video as well, so you can bake along with me. Oh well, I hope you enjoy. Okay, so first of all, the recipe for the sponge is 6 ounces of self-raising flour, 6 ounces of sugar, 6 ounces of butter, 3 tablespoons of water and 3 eggs. Now if you don't get self-raising flour in your country, you can just use regular flour and add a teaspoon of baking powder. Now the recipe for the pastry is 4 ounces of self-raising flour. Again, you can use regular flour and just put the baking powder in. 2 ounces of shredded suet and then 2 to 3 tablespoons of cold water. So to start with, we're going to mix up the 3 main ingredients. We have self-raising flour, granulated sugar, so it's the same sugar you'd have in your tea or coffee, and some butter. And what I've done is I've chopped up the butter just to make it easier to mix. And I'll just move this out of the way for the start. What I like to start off with is mixing the sugar, let's empty that, with the butter. And what I find is if your butter is a little bit hard and it's quite tricky to mix up together, what is an easy option is if you get a saucepan or a bowl or something that can take the heat, and you just boil a kettle and put some hot water in it, and then put this underneath your bowl, it will heat up the butter enough that it will melt it, and it will be easier then to mix in with the sugar. And once that's all mixed together, then we add the flour. Okay, so once that's done, you can see it's not completely melted, it's just soft enough that you can mix it. Let's get rid of this, don't need that anymore. So once it's all completely mixed, we go and add in the rest of our ingredients. So we have 6 ounces of self-raising flour, 3 whole eggs, so these are large ones. I've not really noticed any difference with large or medium or small, and 3 tablespoons of water. Now you can just sort of go easy with the water just to see, because you already have the moisture from the eggs and the melted butter, but if you find it still dry after that, add the rest of the water. So that's pretty much all mixed together. I'm just going to give it a bit of a whisk just to get rid of any of the little lumps you might get when you don't use a hand blender. So I'll carry on with this for a few minutes and then I'll show you how to do the pastry. Okay, so now for the pastry, I have 2 ounces of shredded suet, which is these things. I don't know what they might be called in other countries. This is the self-raising flour, so I have 4 ounces there and a little bit of water. So I'm going to do is I'm actually going to mix it in this tub, as I'm using the other bowl there. It just saves time. So I'll put that in there. I'm just going to use this little this spoon just to kind of mix it up there a little bit, and just slowly add a little bit of water at each. I'll do it with the other hand. Slowly add a little bit of water as I'm mixing it. Mix a little bit in together and then carry on until it's like a dough. So I've ended up with something like that, and it's a little bit tacky, but not that much. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take it out of this, because not all of it is together, and I'm just going to knead it for a few minutes and then I'll roll it out. Okay, so once that's rolled out, you can use your cutter to cut out the circles. And the reason that I rolled it out on cling film or saran wrap, whatever, is that it's easier to tip out, then it's not going to stick to the table. Okay, so now they're all done and cut out, we are just going to put a stack there, and we're just going to put them in here. These are greased already, I used a bit of butter for those. We just put them in and I'll push them down in a minute. Just make sure we do have enough for them all. 3, Ooh, I have 2 left over, so they're bonuses. So we're going to stick them in, and this is a really deep filled tin, which normally I'd use a shallow one, but I can't find that one. So what I'm going to do, it doesn't really matter because we're using sponge and the sponge is going to rise. We're just going to fill it enough that the sponge just reaches the edge of the pastry. Okay, so once you've got all that done, you want to get some jam. Now I have, this is strawberry jam. Oh wait, what is it? It could be jelly wherever you're from. Or is that jello? I don't know. But all I'm going to do is just use a tiny bit. And you see here, it's not a great deal, even though these could probably take a bit more. I'm just going to use a tiny bit in the middle. So if you can see, like it's not all the way up in the dish. Or what do you call it? Yeah, it's not all the way up in the dish, the pastry is quite low, and then this doesn't even cover all of the bottom of it. So you just want a tiny bit in there, because when it gets hot, when it's heated, when it's cooking, it will actually melt. So you just want to take your spoon and just cut out. This is why I use jelly jam, because then it stays solid. So we can put some of this into here. And then what we do, that's actually quite small, I'll put a little bit more in there, just a tiny bit. And then what we do, we get our sponge mix here, and we're just going to put a little bit over there, just enough to cover it. Okay, so let's move this over here. So I'm going to get my spoon and just take a tiny bit out here. And I'll move this back over here so you can see. Is that in the middle? There we go. So what I'm going to do is actually completely cover that jam. And that's what we do, and you can continue on. You've probably got enough batter there to do 2 trays of these. You might have to do pastry twice, but yeah, so that's how you do jam tartlets. Now there's another variation on the jam tartlet. You can actually use an apple. Now this is a cooking apple, and if we core it and dice it, this is the same rule for anything. The smaller you chop it, the quicker it will cook. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this, and I'm going to core and slice it, and then I'll take the skin off and I'll stew it. Okay, so I've just used this, which cores and slices apples. Actually, I can use that for pineapples quite good. And then all I'm going to do is just peel the skin off of these. And once that's done, I'm just going to chop them up into little pieces, like that. So they're quite small pieces. You could probably go smaller. I just don't want to spend all day cooking them. I want it to be something quick. And then I'm going to stick them all in the pot and boil them until just put a little bit of water in it, and then boil them until you can mush them like a mashed potato. Okay, so when the apple's all boiled and mushed, this is just a potato masher. Let it cool for a little bit. Still steam on that, but let that cool for a bit. And we'll take a spoon, and just like we did, now it's pureed. If you can see that, it's pureed, it's not lots of bits. I personally don't like apple or little bits, you know, I like it to be pureed. And we just go ahead and put that there. Same way we did the jam. So I still have quite a bit left over. Normally I would use it all up, but I thought I'd just show you something else you can do with it. I'd say there's probably about 4 or 5 buns left there in that. So what I'm going to do is add some of these raisins into it and just mix it in. Might do a bit more than that. Oh, that looks okay actually. Let's see. There we go. Only good if you actually like raisins. You can use other fruits, sultanas, cherries, whatever you like. And all I'm going to do is stick those in there. So now we have some raisin sponge cupcakes as well. Okay, another variation on the jam tartlet would be to change it to chocolate. So to make the sponge into chocolate sponge, you would use some drinking powder. This is chocolate drinking powder, and this just is about 3 tablespoons worth. So you just pour it in once you've mixed everything in, and then you mix that all together.
Oh, I like my mom.
Are you helping me, Logan?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay, so once you've finished mixing it all up, you should be left with something like this. So there's no lumps in this, it's not too thick. And then the next step would be to substitute the jam in these cups for chocolate. So the easy way to do that is...
chocolate.
You like chocolate? So do I. The easy way to do this is with sandwich spread. So you can guess what kind of sandwich spread that is. I'm not going to tell you any name brands. But you just put a little bit in, and remember, it might be rounded here, but once it goes in the oven it will flatten out, so you don't want to put too much in. So we'll just go ahead and put these in here. And once that's done, we get our spoon.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to move. Not the best help. So we get our spoon and our chocolate filling now, and again just put it over the top and let it settle first, and that's what they should look like once they're all finished.